trusted that piece of rag so much. We thought it would at least be fair. But that's world body, and their symbol is a symbol for fascism.
Vancouver's Bosnian community staged a protest outside the Vancouver Art Gallery to condemn world leaders for what they call incompetence and negligence in stopping the genocide in Bosnia.
Slaughter, rape, plunder, devastation, expulsion of people from their homes, mass murder, and indiscriminate shooting of civilians right in the heart of Europe is taking place. The elementary human rights are disregarded, and evil is at its triumph. These atrocities are happening right in front of our eyes. Never again, a long-forgotten slogan, now seems so far away and takes the meaning of a cruel joke. A small country, a member of the United Nations, is left, and the butchers, abandoned nearly by all. Its right to defend itself taken away by way of the arms embargo, while at the same time unprotected by the very ones that should be doing it. Bosnia is weeping tears of blood, while the Chamberlains and Daladiers of today, so reminiscent of the 1930s era, keep appeasing the fascist Serb aggressor, which has contemptuously spurned every plan or proposal for any kind of settlement. The fascist Serb aggressor knows well who it is dealing with, the feeble, short-sighted crop of political midgets, precisely at the time which calls for political giants and statesmen. The likes of Mitterrand, Major, Clinton, and a parade of used-up bureaucrats who know so little about Bosnia and care even less, stagger from blunder to blunder, offering more and more to the fascists while disregarding every single paragraph of the Charter of the United Nations as well as of the international law. Surely there is no oil in Bosnia, and we admit to that crime. Would it have been otherwise, there would have been a battle cry from the major powers similar to the war in the Gulf. At one time, principles of justice and international law meant something, but those days are long gone. In the 1930s, those same powers attempted to satisfy a mad fascist dog, throwing to him a bone after a bone in the shape of smaller nations in hope it might fill its belly. That wasn't to be. They realized in the end that force can only be stopped by a greater force. That lesson, though, hadn't been learned well. Fascism in its ugliest form is marching again in the heart of Europe on Bosnia, while the voices of fascism are being heard in Russia and elsewhere. It takes vision, courage, and toughness to confront this evil beast. None of these exist today in our so-called political leaders. The UN doesn't stand by any of its many resolutions except one, the arms embargo that only has effect on the one of the countries of the former prison of nations, Yugoslavia, Bosnia that is, effectively freezing the enormous advantage the fascist aggressor possesses, while at the same time it ties the hands of the victim. The trio consisting of France, Britain, and Russia steadfastly refuse to budge on the fundamental issue every country has, the unquestionable right of self-defense, which is also guaranteed by the Charter of the United Nations. That God-given right has been denied only to Bosnia for the first time in the history of mankind. Even when the so-called safe havens are attacked by the fascist Serbs, in spite of the guarantees that these areas would be protected by the UN, we see them running cowardly away, leaving the civilians to the bloodthirsty butchers. The United Nations seems to have a bottomless capacity for insult, humiliation, and cowardice. It seems that its General Secretary, Boutros Ghali, is willing to negotiate and negotiate and negotiate, as he personally stated, for 15 years if necessary, comparing the situation in Bosnia with Lebanon. The man who continuously smiled even when he visited Sarajevo funeral procession seems to be perfectly contented to negotiate until the very last Bosnian. No amount of suffering, blood, tears, and horror seem to be able to move him nor his emissaries. emissaries such as Yasushi Akashi and Thorold Stoltenberg, nor the emissaries of the European community such as the characters of the shape and form of Owen's character, etc. We still remember clowns in the form of Canadian General Mackenzie and General Rhodes. The former cashed in on the book on the road to Sarajevo. And then just to prove that the Bosnians' accusations of working openly for the Serb organization in North America known as the Serbian Net. That's just to add insult to the injury. General Rhodes even got his title Sir for trying to do his part in burying Bosnia. While we are watching an absolutely tragic series of events developing right in front of our eyes, which seems more of a nightmare than reality, after a meeting of today's politicians take place, the result of which we hear how nothing or little can be done, which at the same time gives the green light to the aggressor to continue with the Strait of Bosnia. Time after time, we have been lied to, pressured to, give false concessions to the aggressor, each time contemptuously rebuffed by it. The so-called safe havens, or enclaves, were to be defended by the United Nations, was also a cruel act of treason, evident by the very nominal number of the lightly armed troops they left behind. Now those troops have put up the tail between their legs and run, leaving over 40,000 people to the mercy of the butchers who don't know the meaning of that word, as they have so clearly shown to the world during these 3.5 years. Nearly 11,000 people are accounted for. Women have been raped. Boys and men have disappeared. Masses of them found with their throats split or bodies hanging on the trees. The full account of the Srebrenica tragedy is still not known, while the aggressor has set his eyes upon Žepa and Goražde, at the same time murderously bombarding the Bihać pocket and the biggest concentration camp in the world, the Olympic city that spread its arms open to the world for the Winter Olympic Games of 1984, Sarajevo, by the natural and the man's laws, the right to self-defense as a nation, a member of the UN, as people with their place under the sun. To our enemies who parade under all sorts of covers and titles, we say, what you do with your perfidious, sinister, and evil games will eventually strike back at you. For the very ones that try to bury us or settle us with an unjust settlement should remember that Bosnia has survived tyrants, invasions, and every conceivable evil for 1,000 years. I'd like to call upon Linda Ackerman to say a few words. Will you please be at attention? Thank you.
And I am married to a Bosnian from central Bosnia. I am here as a citizen of Canada, but I am also here as a member of the BC Bosnian Association and an executive from the World Movement for Peace in Bosnian Society. I have sat and watched the killing of a people The Bosnian Task Force USA. This is a group.
We can't hear.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
All right. The Bosnian Task Force USA is, as of July 1995, 10 votes short of getting Bill 21 through the Senate. With the last 10 votes going yes, President Clinton cannot veto releasing the arms embargo against the Bosnian people. Of course, there are certain conditions, but once these conditions have been satisfied, Americans will be able to supply arms to the Bosnian people. In history, it will be written, the country of Bosnia had many of its people killed because the world was scared to take on 600,000 people. And that, for the first time in history, the country was not allowed to defend itself against an aggressor. You hear? And that the United Nations went the way of the League of Nations, the dodo bird. I am unable to call myself a Canadian with any pride, for my country is in league with the rest of the world. The people of the world have no reason to be proud of who they are. They have done nothing to make their governments have some backbone. They have also sat on their behind. I know that the Bosnian people will survive and will beat back the fascist group of people that the world is afraid of. Bosnia will survive and prosper, and the quiet, passive, happy people will become a group of people to be...
Kids, never lose the pictures of the killed mother who was carrying her dead baby. Never throw aside crying children that got no future, no life, no parents. They're left homeless without anybody. The broad crystal eyes of innocent children have been through so much that it's hard to believe that their little hearts still beat. Not allowing the parents of these children to defend their lives, their future, their security, their childhood is a crime. The crime and nothing but the crime. The felony of not letting someone to suffer to defend their own soul is unknown in the human history. And that's why every single one of you out there must feel responsible for what has been done in Bosnia. Even encouraging the leaders of yours would be one step closer to the lifting arms embargo. But unfortunately, you failed to do such. Because of all Serb aggression and genocide that captured my deep loving country, while the world watched and stayed still, I'm forced to sue the same world you and I are living in. And if after the everyday pictures from Tuzla, Sarajevo, Srebrenica, and other Bosnian places, the world doesn't let my people defend their lives, we, the upcoming Bosnian generations, will remain asking, why? 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 Then why? Don't you in your head with saying it's far from me? Because 1,000 Bosnian children with 1,000 tears in their eyes, today from Srebrenica, tomorrow from Zepa, Sarah chose the last help, and I expect you as the human being to make the childhood similar, if it can be the same to the children around you. Honestly, they fully deserve it, right? For all the young lives that covered the ground of my country, the way the ink soaks paper, don't let Bosnian Muslims be erased. Nobody's asking you to fight, but if you don't do what you're asked to do, you will be same as those who kill us Bosniaks, rape us Bosniaks, and do anything to us just because we are Bosnian Muslims. Ladies and gentlemen, do not allow after all this what happened to the next generations of Muslims from Bosnia be called the people who hate every single thing around them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Answer. Thank you very much.
This demonstration. As you know, we have demonstrated in this place 6 times majorly before. Many of you came before, and many of you have come again. We are most grateful for your presence. For as long as the last Bosnian exists, we will keep fighting for the justice and humanity. For the humanity will prevail, has prevailed so far, and will prevail in the future. Anywhere on planet Earth, all decent human beings, Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Građanska Bosna i Herzegovina. Ladies and gentlemen, dear brothers and sisters in humanity, we will continue with our struggle. Until the last Bosnian exists on planet Earth, we will continue being the example to the humanity. We will fight against injustices. You heard from our eloquent speakers before me all the details of what we have been going through. For 3.5 years of Holocaust, of genocide, of innocent women and children in Bosnia who have been massively raped and tortured in a most pedophiliac, pederastic, fascistic, sadistic fashion. You know all that, you read about that every day, you see that in the news every day. Has never happened in the history of humankind that this kind of systematic rape of a nation, of a country has taken place. On our part, we will continue struggling the best we can as we have been. We will never cease doing the best for the innocent people in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Every day we endeavor to be in the news, on TV and newspapers all across the country, and we endeavor to establish the contacts with important people. Thank you very much, all of you, for coming. God bless you. Assalamu alaikum.
We thank our friend Valdeli, and I would like to call now our next speaker, and of course who else but Mirza Čaušević.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me just say a few words in Bosnian before I continue in English. Ja sam živio u Mostaru od rođenja i kad sam imao 7 godina odlučio sam da počnem skakati u Neretvu, kao što to rade pravi mostarski momci. Ali ne dade mi majka. Kaže ona, neka sine čekaj dok narastiš. Ja narasto, ali nema više mosta, a ni Mostara. Primitivci, neprijatelji naši, pokušavaju da unište sve što vrijedi. Muslimanske živote, kulturu i tradiciju. Ali neće moći. I pored svesrdne pomoći Butrosa Galija i ostalih svjetskih korumpiranih idiota. Ladies and gentlemen, after the genocide in Srebrenica, we, the Bosnian children, are astonished by the silence of the Canadian authorities. The United Nations are helping the aggressor to realize his dirty goal of ethnic cleansing in Bosnia. Our question is, why don't the Canadian authorities react? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mirza Čaušević. Half a speech in Bosnian and half in English. Very nice, thank you. I'd like to call now Jeva Čemerlić to step forward, please.
Dear friends, thank you very much for coming here to share with us the most sad and horrible moment in history on our country, Bosnia and Herzegovina, which we like very much. For a long time, the Bosnia is, for centuries, the country where the people live together. However, now, our former friends, unprepared people, started to kill and started to destroy by the genocide, willing to grab their land, willing to rape their women and daughters, and willing to destroy whatever we built in the past. We would like to raise awareness today about the horrendous barbaric aggression on Bosnia and the Serbs' genocide in Bosnia. We would like to condemn the aggression and genocide which the Serbs from Serbia and Montenegro and their quislings, the Serbs from Bosnia, are performing now. Killings, slaughtering, torturing, imprisoning, rapings, as well as all other war crimes are committed every day on the Bosniaks and non-Serbs. Land grabbing and Holocaust, genocide, or ethnic cleansing, euphemistically called, are both the tool and the ultimate goal of the Serbs in order to create greater Serbia. We would like today to raise awareness that it is not a civil war. This is an aggression on the Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina, which was recognized by the great majority of the United Nations members and is its 148th member. The Serbs from Serbia and Montenegro were the initiators of this war, and together with the Bosnians of all faiths. When the Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina Parliament was preparing to reaffirm its state sovereignty in 1992, Radovan Karadzic, the Serbian leader, Slobodan Milosevic's marionette, then the leader of the Serbian Democratic Party, said from the parliament's rostrum, "Do not think that you are not leading the Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina's fight to hell, and the Bosniaks, the Muslims, nation, perhaps into disappearance, since the Bosniaks cannot defend themselves in a cause of a war here." That call, a clarion call for the new genocide, together with a full series of similar statements and the intensive militarization of the Serbian Democratic Party members, 80% of its officers were the Serbs, were the beginnings of the war. At that time, this threat should have been taken seriously by the community of the nations, and they should then do everything in their power to prevent our immense tragedy and disaster. We are strongly condemning the inefficiency, incompetence, negligence, and inability of the world leaders to stop the Serb genocide on Bosniaks. The leaders of the United Nations and United Nations Security Council members, they are the accomplices in this horrendous crime. Despite all the enormous resources they have, NATO and UNPROFOR and their arms and men and intelligence and logistics. As a result, during more than 3 years, 1,000 people have been killed. Among those, there were more than 158 concentration camps, where those more than 3,000 corpses have been dumped. We would like to ask for support for lifting of an unjust arms embargo imposed on the Bosnians, use of force for defense. The United Nations did not enforce the numerous resolutions proclaimed by the Serbs, took the advantage of it and ethnically cleansed again, this time Srebrenica, and are left, abandoned to be killed, all of them, one might say officially, bureaucratically, mercilessly predetermined to their destiny by the world community in whole, non-action. Go on with the killing of civilians and cleansing of Bosnian towns. We would like to raise awareness about the Bosniaks and the Bosnians of all faiths who, before this war began, lived in a multicultural, multi-ethnic and multi-religious Bosnia. Historically, Bosnia existed in the medieval times. It was mentioned for the first time in 876 AD and is the oldest state on the Balkan Peninsula. In Bosnia, the second oldest university in the world had been established in 1175 AD, means 25 years before the university had been established even in Paris, France, or 246 years before establishment of the University of Heidelberg, Germany, for example. We would like to inform that amongst the citizens of the Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina attacking unarmed civilians, they occupied around 70% of the republic, and in this area where they found the Bosniaks, they expelled the great majority of them, or all of them. It's the real Holocaust, genocide. The most recent one was a few days ago in Srebrenica, when the world watched desperately the expulsion and cleansing of the safe haven, for which the United Nations forces have been sent to protect it, live on TV. We, Bosnians, immigrants and citizens in Canada, are appealing to the media to show the horrendous atrocities and genocide committed by the Serbs in the Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina, not to be committed over and over again, and to help to the Bosnians of all faiths to realize their right on self-protection and defense. We would like to get help in stopping the aggression and genocide, in achieving of a just peace and the realization of the right of each Bosnian, regardless of its faith, to live accordingly to their will in the multi-religious, multi-ethnic and multicultural Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina, like we lived together throughout centuries. We will ask from the U.S. Senate and the U.S. Congress to...
Thanks very much. Thank you, Jeva Chemerlich, for your speech. We might have a couple more people coming up. Like ourselves and the ones that are born here, we'd like to remind you that your fathers and grandfathers have fought fascism one day, and before you lick your ice cream and watch your favorite TV soap opera, go contentedly to bed and live life of ease. Maybe you should stop and think for a second that you might be called up one day when the flames of fascism start spreading, and that comfy, cozy life might be interrupted. So our misery that we are suffering today might catch up with you too. Not that we wish it so.
After the collapse of the Soviet Union, but when it comes to former Yugoslavia, when they heard the name of Bosnia-Herzegovina, when the world and then on the other side, there was no arm embargo on them. And in the meantime, the United Nations let the slaves to the atrocities that we are witnessing in the last 3 and 4 years. Brothers and sisters, this is humanity. We call these people human beings. Now let's go and talk to yourself. Are they human beings? There is no word in the dictionary of criminology that the soul didn't use them. In the West, and so-called the enemy of Bosnia,
are sitting thinking about it, how to solve it. They are going to meet this Friday to think of what would be the second step to take. Well, we had about a few 100,000 Fridays before, and they have not done anything. We have been sitting around for the past 3.5 years talking of the problem. This is a time to act. The problem with us is this. we are not getting our leaders to stand for what we believe in. Start immediately to move our leaders, to get them to do something for Bosnia, to do something for justice. I just want to ask a question. We have been waiting here, brother Malidilli was saying that we have been here, we came here 6 times before. I bet you we might come here again 600 times. But nothing will happen. What happens here is that we are talking. We talk and we listen and we go home and that's it. We have to change our discussion, our talk and our words into action. We have to change our leaders. A kid in the street will tell you this. It's far from justice. It's not justice at all. We have to do something. How come it did not take them long time to go into Somalia? They knew about the problem. They went to Somalia, no consultation. There was a problem in Iraq and Kuwait. They moved in. Very good leaders. How come it took you so long to decide on the case of Bosnia? You must be a partner in this crime. And they are. Anybody who's not doing anything to stop the crime in Bosnia, he's a criminal like them. And we have to understand this. That you are equally responsible. The responsibility is not the leaders only. It's our responsibility. Wallahi, I can't believe this. I've been here for some time now, and I watch the news every night, and the people in the newscasters say, what can we say? It's a sad story. These people, when they go home, how can they eat? How can they get the steak and roast beef and potatoes and everything like this? And they just saw a documentary in Bosnia that people don't have anything to eat. How can they look at their kids and hug them and kiss them and take them to swimming pools, and at the same time they have in their memories, the killing, atrocities, all problems in Bosnia. People lost sensation. They can't feel anymore. It's up to you. But history will not forgive you, because you will not forgive yourself. You will never clear your conscience unless you do something. The minimum you can do is to get down to your fax, to get down your computer and send a fax to the White House. Give a call to your government representative in your area. Do something. If you do something and it doesn't work, that's fine. But the responsibility is yours. You do something. At the end, I'd like to say, if the people in Europe would like to destroy the growing nation of Bosnia with its Muslim content, they are wrong. They will never destroy Bosnia, because they will never be able to destroy the memories in the children's minds. How can they? How can you destroy, how can you erase? Psychologists tell you, how can you erase a memory? How can you erase a bad memory when you saw your own father being killed in front of you? How can you erase a memory of your mother being raped in front of you? How can you erase a memory of a child 5 years old being raped in front of you?
What you're saying, where is this democracy? You happen to be standing for it, and what happens? You let tyrants do what they want, right in the heart of Europe.
Pitao me Pašić, evo tu je, našao si, tu je, ćemo kasnije, tu je. Vidjet ćemo ovdje. Kom se još kupi Biće mali. Još nisam pojel, kad budem pojel, ja sam rekao da sjajno hvala.
coming to Central Europe. Help us now, while there's still time. Come on, stop in Bosnia. Matches? Any slogans here?
You don't mind if I take a picture of your demonstration?
Everybody is invited to spit at this filthy rag. Supposed to be, I can't even say what. As a boy I grew up looking up to the world united and pretend it was to secure that. Now this piece of rubbish, we're going to flames, and everybody is welcome to spit on it first.
Why the UN? Why? Because they won't do anything?
They do. They're supporting the fascists, that's why. They took for arms. They came to defend you. Since they don't come, you will leave out with the bullets. They don't do nothing.
Maslo, pa možemo i na ovaj način nešto pokušati uraditi.
Okay, let's proceed to the steps of the court. Let's observe this fine moment. but that's world body, and their symbol is a symbol for fascism.
Može govoriti.
Okay, now, the great moment here. Let's burn this evil. So many of our hopes were pinned on this flag, and we're supposed to stand for. It broke every rule in the book. Then let us defend ourselves in spite of its charter. And it felt out so clearly. Thank you very much. Thank you for the Canadian Fire Agency too. I see a couple fellows there. Thank you very much. Can burn properly. Thank you very much. Take a look here. It's not going to be the very first or last time I'm burning on this filthy rag. I never thought myself I would live a day to see it ever somebody burn in this flag of the United Nations. And this is precisely what it deserves. We have among partners a survivor of this concentration camp. Take a look at him. He barely survived. Several months, he slept down on the concrete floor with one sheet to cover himself or to put it under himself. Barely survived.
This is garbage!
There he is.
Garbage! Shit! You are this garbage!
No burner of that flag.
Shit! That's not there! They're killing people in Bosnia!
What do we do?
They're killing children, women, everything!
We call blood, we supposed to dispatch it.
That's what they're
Your
doing!
father has crossed two big borders, second yard, ice cream, watching your son. But one day, you'll have to fight again. We've been fighting it for 3.5 years. But we will survive. And one day, we will remind you, we told you so. Do you remember never again? Do you remember that? It's all over again. That's never again. Shall we proceed again? Around the courthouse or our gallery now? Thank you very much. Thanks for the audience that went by and took a look at it. Let's go for another round, please. It was spat on too much, so it won't burn all the way, so crap, and now dump it precisely there where it belongs to. Thank you very much. Very fun scene indeed.
I know. It's that's the ultimate, like, no, there. Because it's going to be brought in. There's militias set up all along the region. My family is involved.
We never said we want to Muslim country. In territory where Bosnian army there is still live together. Croatian and Bosnian together.
We sponsored 3 families coming over from
Yeah.
Bosnia.
All they want is for their families not to be killed by Serbs.
No, they just don't want their family.
Well, and they conquered a good chunk of that, another Bosnian army, and they forced them to accept the Muslim religion. After 4, 5, 6 generations, they become fanatic Muslims. And then, but they're going to live.
Oh, you are big. You're attacking. You are just like a big Serb. Come on now. Come on now. There's no excuse to go and kill thousands of people.
That is true. But the Muslims are killers too. in all of history. They've killed a lot. Did you ever see the killed children in Bosnia? Muslim government. Did you ever see that on TV?
My brother is
Did you ever see that? Did you ever see concentration camps? I was in camp. Did you ever? I'm talking about the Turks. The Turks. What Turks?
He's a Chechny. He's a Chechny.
And they become fanatics. You can become fanatics. You can take what you want. That's your opinion.
What do you think?
I have about 7 kilograms now. They can't ignore that. But that's what they do.
750 grams.
That's what's happening.
Was finished.
Iran is also, Turkey is a big
Dobro, nije ona nama ništa odore.
Radio to pojačalo. Radio sam skoro to gledam.
Only in Iran. Nobody else.
Na našem sastanku, demonstracijama. Ovim završavamo naš meeting. We are finishing with this meeting. Thank you very much. Hvala vam najljepša. Who owns this?
They couldn't do that's quite much what they did without the permission major, I mean Great Britannia and British. This is what they have to.
That organized, just like this, civil. It was in May, in June 92. June, July, because we didn't have that. They took 80% of Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia was great. All died without legs. They saw there in the hills, they saw that there is no one, there wasn't soldiers. Just women and children like this. My sister's son was killed and his wife and his two sons, 3 and 4 years old. In the same hole, without legs. And my neighbor, he laying his child in his chest. He's without legs and arms. He's alive, still alive. His mother trying to help him. I tried to push his mother and I couldn't. And 1 meter, his sister without legs. He said, oh, I can forget that. How? And we have to ask. Only about Iran, nobody else.
na ovom našem sastanku, na demonstracijama. Ovim završavamo naš meeting. We are finishing with this meeting, but thank you very much.
Republika Srpska baštini fašizam. Krije one koji su počinili ratni zločin i genocid.
Evo nas 11. jula 1995. godine u srpskoj Srebrenici. Uoči još jednog velikog praznika srpskog poklonjava srpskom narodu. I napokon došao je trenutak da se posle bune protiv Davida Turcima osvetimo na ovom prostoru.
Cilj te rečenice je upravo potraga za moralnim legitimiranjem zločina, za kulturalnim legitimiranjem zločina i potom za pretvaranjem zločina u neku vrstu pravedne, pogledajte sad, licemjerne igre. Zločin je tako osveta, zločin je tako kazna, bez obzira što nemamo ni jedne elemente u stvarnosti koji bi opravdali jedan takav postupak.